Hi, Mactapub, and like always, I'm adding more dolls to my wish list. I'm literally also adding them to my wish list as I'm doing this voiceover now because I'm always adding. So these are living dead dolls, and like I said, I have a huge long list. I think I have like 60 dolls, doll lines to still add that are just sitting there, plus any others that I've recently thought of because I have a note like in my notes app, and then I have a Google Sheets of a bunch of dolls. Anyways. The point is, I'm adding living dead dolls, and I've been picky lately on some dolls, so I'm not adding every single one. I'm just adding the ones that really caught my eye. These are a great example of a doll line that I wouldn't go heavily out of my way, and I would definitely want specific ones. I don't think that if I saw a living dead doll like at a place, if I knew that that's what they were, I don't think that, like, if it wasn't on my list, I probably wouldn't pick it up because some of them are just not super interesting to me. Again, I oftentimes say that I add dolls to my list even if they're not crazy interesting to me, because some of the best dolls that I have are dolls that I didn't originally like. Example, Karma from Rainbow High, didn't like her originally. So a lot of times I'm like, oh, I just add all the dolls. But there are so many dolls in this line, in the Living Dead Dolls series. There's so many out there that exist that I was like, there's just no way that I'm adding every single one of these to my list. And especially when I wasn't crazy interested in every single one, if that makes sense. So I'm being picky, and so there's like I said, I think there's like 31, 32 different series of them, and there's like 5 or 6 dolls in each series. So if you're like, there's a lot more than this, the answer is I know, but I was being picky on who I wanted, and I had to really like them in order to make them on my list, especially because these dolls are like out of what I usually typically go after in dolls. Not only are they huge, so they take up a lot of space, but they're also very different from other dolls out there. But some of them were really interesting, so I added them. If you can see me slowly adding them. Anyways, this is not the only doll that you'll see me add, but again, like I said, I'm being picky and I'm not adding every single one to my wish list. I don't think that if I saw some of the others that weren't on my list, I don't think that I'd pick them up unless it was like a crazy good price, but probably not. I also don't know if I'd recognize that it's a living dead doll just off the top of my head, but like I said, we're adding them. Very different. I don't typically collect a lot of like gore. I don't know if gore is the right word, but like, it makes sense in my head. Anyways, we're still on Living Dead. Like I said, I'm not looking. I'm trying to add other dolls to my wish list. Anyways, more Living Dead. They're quite fun and interesting, and I do think that I went and added a bunch of the dolls that are a little bit more casual. The Living Dead dolls would be a great example of dolls for like Halloween. The issue is that I don't like putting dolls away. Like, I would keep them out year round, but I also feel like I don't know how I'd feel about having them all over my house. They're kind of interesting and different, and they give off haunted vibes, which maybe that's what they're supposed to give off. There was another doll line that's on here that I didn't originally add to my list, but they're like kind of in this realm, but they're more baby doll-esque. I don't remember what they're called, but it reminds me of as a kid when I used to go to like the Halloween store. What's that called? I can't think of what it's called off the top of my head, but they had like those kind of like dolls there, and I always really wanted one, so I debated adding them to my list. But if I found them for a good price, I don't think that I'd pass up on some of them. Some of them were really cute, and now I'm kind of debating going back and adding them to my wish list. But anyways, we are still, I don't know what series I'm currently on at this point, if I'm even close to the end, but we will see. Anyways, some of them are really fun and interesting and cute, and just different. I like them. I think they're fun. Anyways, I have just finished adding one of the doll lines to my wish list, so that's exciting as I'm literally doing a voiceover. Anyways, let's see if I can add more. I gotta figure out where I'm at. Now we're on to a different one. I think this is called Little Fairies something. Fairies. I don't remember actually, but that's okay. I feel like I'm gonna jump from these because they were an interesting layout, if that makes sense. Makes sense in my head. So a lot of jumping back and forth, I feel, but that's okay. I couldn't tell you much about these other than I'm sure that they're expensive, or maybe a doll that I'd have to import. I don't actually know where these are from. I really don't know what they're called, but they give me vibes of a different doll line. I can't think. It starts with an A, maybe? I remember adding them to my wish list. I have no clue, but they remind me of something, specifically one of the boy dolls that I saw. I was like, is this made by the same company, maybe? If you know what I'm talking about, let me know. But some of them are like giving off steampunk vibes. Maybe steampunk isn't the right word. I don't think it's the right word. That's not close. I was hoping to see her or see him because I think it's a guy, but I don't see the one that I'm referencing, and I don't know if I showed it in this clip, but that's okay. Oh, we're on to another doll. I think they start with an M, maybe? I don't remember. It's not, I feel like, I want to say like Minty, but that's the dolls that I'm currently on right now. So something like that? No, definitely starts with an M though. Anyways, we're getting to the end. I can tell you that these aren't on here very long. There's only like 6 or 7 of the dolls. Yeah, this is how many there are. And like I said, I'm shrinking them down. If you notice, that's what I'm doing. I'm cropping them. Is cropping the right word? I'm cropping them. Now we're on to Minnie Mouse dolls. And this is the one that, as I was talking about the Living Dead dolls, I was still adding them because there's so many. These are a great example of dolls that I do think are really interesting. I actually own one. I got one at like Goodwill bins. I don't think that I'd heavily go to my way for these dolls. Some of them, there's like they have like rubber and like molded on clothing, if that makes sense. I think there's also ones with like rubber thick clothing, not fabric. Those ones I probably wouldn't go to my way, but I think they're very interesting for what they are, and if I found them for a decent price, I would definitely buy them and pick them up, if that makes sense. But I'm not going to go heavily out of my way. They're very interesting, and some of them have really nice clothing that I would want, but I'm not going to go out of my way to get every single one of them. Like I said, some of them are really cute, and I do really want them. Like, I think the Pride ones are really cute, and, I love, what are those called? Are they maybe Day of the Dead? They're really fun. I feel like they have a name, though, but maybe I'm making that up. Anyways, these ones are very fun and interesting. They're just mini dolls. They also made a few Daisies and Mickeys. I don't think there's any other characters. I like the one that I like the one that I have. The only issue that I have with her is she leaks. Her shoes leak. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but they're always oily no matter what I do. I've tried to look up, like, how to get rid of that, like gluing. People recommend Mosh Podging. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. They're always like liquidy, and anytime I pick them up off my shelf, there's like oil residue, which is really gross. Anyways, nonetheless, I still think that these dolls are really fun and interesting and just different, and they definitely stand out in my collection when I have my little doll, my single one, on my shelf. Anyways, there's a lot of them, so I'm still adding them to my list, but we're getting close to the end, so I'm gonna kind of close out here, but I don't know how many is left. I did a few while I was working on this. Anyways, there was 60. There's probably less than that now. I'll eventually have to look, but yeah, I'm wrapped up. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for more, because like I said, I'm always adding dolls to my wish list, and also if you know any, you can definitely recommend some dolls. I'm always, like I said, looking for more dolls. Not that I need to add more to my wish list, but like I wanna know every single doll that exists and be somewhat knowledgeable on them. So yeah, you can always comment and let me know. But yeah, this is the Disney Minnie Mouse. I don't actually know what they're called. And whoa, I think I'm partway through the M's. There's quite a few dolls with M's I'm still working on. I'm currently working on, is it like I don't know. There's so many for that year too, or for that. It's like 2005 to 2023. Anyways, so many dolls. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye.